Beautiful. So welcome to you all at home and thanks for tuning in and being here. It's exciting and all a little bit strange and mysterious. Teaching yoga like this and the kind of new world that we're stepping into. So if you have practiced whole brain with us before, you kind of know what you're in for. This practice is more about finding a little bit of coherence in the body where it's sort of heart and brain, but also right, left hemispheres of the brain. And it's a really beautiful practice for the nervous system, which then will have positive effects on the other systems of the body, like our immune as a system and response. So I think it's a really wonderful practice for this time when things are a little uncertain, just being able to come into your breath, into your body, and really start to find the natural rhythms that are within you. So kind of the idea of coming home to ourselves. So just invite you throughout it to really bring your intention into that place. And if you notice that you get kind of frustrated or anything else, take what you need, modify, make it your practice, and ultimately be kind to yourself and gentle with yourself throughout. So with most of the classes we're doing, we're adding in little elements of energy work or energy medicine just to keep our subtle energies balanced as well. And it can have quite a calming effect. So finding your comfortable seat, you might like to roll the shoulders back, and you're welcome. I'm sitting up on a blanket. If you've got anything at home, towels, blankets, duvet, blocks, anything you've got, just to prop up the hips so you feel comfortable, as we will sit here for a few minutes to start today's practice. And then finding any little movement, wriggling side to side, closing down your eyes. And if that's not comfortable, just a soft gaze towards the floor. And you may like to take these first few rounds in through the nose and side out the mouth. Just letting go of anything that no longer serves from your morning so far. In through the nose and side out the mouth. And then settling into your breath rhythm. And so it may be in through your nose and out through your nose. But starting to find a coherence with your breath. And it doesn't mean that it has to be full deep breaths. And in fact, at this time, you might notice that your breath is a little more shallow. And just look to find a rhythm with it. So it's like you're working with your breath, not against it. It can even be nice to kind of bring your hands onto your body. So it might be just somewhere where you feel your ribs at the top, even just into the side body. It doesn't have to be your ribs. You just feel the movement in your body from your breath. Again, this can have a beautifully calming effect as you actually feel the inhale and expansion. And the exhale, contraction, soften and release. And just taking 2 more breaths like this. Beautiful. You're welcome to keep your eyes closed down and just gently opening your eyes. So we'll start with our 4 tapping points, and we are pretty much using these in all of our classes. They are tapping points that correlate to the end of the meridians, and again, it's this way of balancing our more subtle energy. So the first point is right underneath your eyes on the cheekbones here. You just kind of walk your hands over to feel that bony ledge. I like to bring about 3 or 4 fingers just onto that place and then start tapping. If you've never done tapping before, it can feel a little bit strange while we're tapping our bodies. It's up to you if you want to do it, but I encourage you just to try it and also notice how you feel as you're doing it and afterwards. Anything that can kind of help us to come back to center and just sort of take a moment out of the chaos can be nice. And gentle tapping. And this point here correlates to the end of the stomach meridian. It can also be nice with the breath as we do these points to breathe in through your nose and out through the mouth. Beautiful. Then slowing that point down and just pausing there. You can press into the point lightly. Take one more round of breath. And then we take this to our second point, which is just the end of the kidney meridian or underneath the collarbones. So if I find where my collarbones are, they can stick out, drop down into an angle underneath the bone parts here, into that soft fishy part. And this time I might bring my fingers together and find a little tap here. And again, you don't have to tap too hard. If this irritates you or you kind of feel a bit stressed out by tapping, then just holding the point or even a gentle massage is really nice, especially along these points up on the chest as they correlate to your lymphatic points as well. Maybe it's a little bit lighter, but finding a rhythm that works for you. So it might be faster than me or slower. Let that tap happen. And again, you might find the breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then slowing that down, pause. And I suggest a little bit of a good massage there. I just even sneak it along the line of the chest. Cool. And then coming from the center, drop them all the way down to the thymus gland here. So in the center, as low as you can, like I sort of hit the top of the sports bra, I need to stop. Use both hands, finding that point, and then tapping here. Again, using what breath feels appropriate. Now. Settle into that rhythm. And this is a really nice point on the central meridian. And that is great for when you feel any symptoms of kind of cold or flu. Or even if you're just nervous about getting them. This is a nice point to tap. It's like it's cleansing everything out. So these things are great because they're so non-invasive that you can just do them to kind of keep yourself a little bit ahead of the game. Slowing that point down. Again, a really nice point just to have a little massage. This one can be a little more sensitive. And then now fourth point from the nipple line out to the side, into the spleen meridian, and then tapping here. Now you can tap like this with our little T-Rex sounds, or you can cross the arms over and tap the side with your hands if you're giving yourself a hug. Kristine saying is really important at the moment, self-hugs, when you're not allowed to hug anybody else. So this process of actually physical touch and self-touch is really important in these times of bizarre isolation. And then you can stay with the breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then slowing that right down. Maybe a little massage in a moment. And then letting your hands just rest on your knees, closing down the eyes or soften the gaze towards the floor. And just notice your breath in your body. Any of the sensations, how do you feel? How do you experience the sensations in your body? And so through this type of practice especially, we take a few moments to always stop and pause and notice. The reason we do this is to cultivate the skill of internal awareness, so you're more tuned into your body's wisdom and intuition and just what's going on. So it is a trained skill, and this is a beautiful way of doing it. Cool. Opening your eyes. On your next inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Interlace your fingers for a moment, just press the palms up. Let your hands come down. I'm going to take 3 rounds of just what's called tracing the lung meridian, as collectively it is that this whole virus is affecting the lungs, and the lungs relate directly to grief. It's like we're flushing it all out for ourselves. Again, another one of these techniques. So I take one of my hands, bring it to the opposite shoulder, on the top of the shoulder here, and I just trace my hand down along the arm. So it's pretty much where either the hairline changes from here to no hair, or the color of your skin kind of changes. Tracing it down all the way to the thumb. Then I squeeze the thumb and kind of pull off the other side. Opposite side, trace from the shoulder all the way down off the thumb. 2 more to each side. And do this with the rhythm of your breath. Over and over. More. Beautiful. Take that out. Pause for a moment. We'll start with our moving mountain pose. So we will be staying seated. If you're kind of getting a little sore staying in this position, you can change to sitting on your heels or just adjust your seat so you're a little more comfortable. And then the movement goes like this. So just arms out to the side. As you inhale, reach arms overhead. Turn your palms. Exhale, lower the hands down. Inhale. And then exhale. Remember that the idea is that you're moving with your breath and with your movement. So maybe throughout this practice, you might be moving a little bit faster than me or a little bit slower than me, but ideally taking it with your breath as you do this. And you might keep a soft gaze and actually keep your hands just gently in your vision, or you might prefer to close down the eyes and just keep moving like this. So allowing everything, your system, your mind, your body, to begin to slow down. Taking two more like this. And the next time your arms come up, you're going to reach one arm all the way up overhead, and the other arm just comes halfway. So it looks like this. And then we lower down. And by remembering which arm you took all the way up, change to the other side. And so this starts to work with bringing that coherence to the left and right sides of the brain. So really keep your focused attention, all of your attention on the simple act of what you're doing and coordinating this with your breath. Lowering down. And it may be that your breath rhythm is a little different. So it might be exhale up and inhale down. Or you might find that you take a whole round of breath all the way up and all the way down. Especially if your breath is just feeling a little more restricted and shallow this morning. There's nothing wrong with that, but try and work with that rhythm rather than expecting it to be something that it's not. And just taking 3 more each side like that. And then depending on the pace you are working with, taking your time to feel what feels like the end for you. So when you've completed the movement, and then just let your hands rest down for a moment. You can either close down the eyes or soften your gaze. And just this moment of full breath to notice any of the subtle sensations through your physical body or in your breath. And it may be that you just even feel a little sensation around the shoulder or the side body. And just observe. Beautiful. Our next movement is going to add a little bit more of a twist. So palms facing up, bring your elbows into the side body, just like this. And then with the breath, so inhaling at the center. And as you exhale, twist to one side, and I bring the opposite hand over the heart, the other hand back. Inhale through center. And exhale, twist, gaze over that shoulder. Inhale, center. And exhale, twist. And keep moving. Again, you might let your eyes and your gaze kind of follow your body as you move around. It's really nice for the eyes to get a little bit of eye movement as well. Otherwise, if you feel more internal and it just feels more natural to have your eyes closed, you can take that option. And let's take 2 more to each side. Again, just in your own time. Finding that sense of completion and finish when you're ready. Noting that you might be moving faster or slower than me. Either way, totally fine. As you have felt that sense of completion, make your way through center, and then just that moment of pause once again. Can you notice any of the subtle sensations and movements through your spine from that gentle twisting? And maybe what you notice is that you don't notice anything at all. It's still something to notice. That is how we kind of start to cultivate more of this internal awareness. And then together, taking a full inhale through the nose. And sigh out the mouth. Beautiful. Mindful transition. We'll make our way over towards a child's pose position. Now, because we will be moving in and out from child's pose, I quite like to have a little more support under the knees. But depending if you're on carpet and you've got a thick mat, you might not need this. Being on harder floors, I quite like it, but it is very much up to you and what you've got. There, if you've got sensitive knees, then it's really nice to have a little bit more padding so you're not putting as much pressure through them. And then setting up for your child's pose. Again, a child's pose isn't really a friendly place for you. You might stay seated upright, do anything else to modify this movement. Otherwise, coming down, bringing the hands out in front, and just a moment to allow your hips to sink in towards your heels. Let your forehead come to the floor. And noticing your breath now into the back of your ribs. So as you inhale, can you look for that expansion through your back body? Just taking 3 full breaths here. And then after your third exhalation, just take a moment to walk the hands a little more over towards the right. So adding in that nice side body stretch and opening. And walk those hands towards the right, maybe reach out through the hands. Or you might like to bring your right hand down beside your right knee, press into the floor. And as you do this, you're creating more resistance to feel that length into the left side of your body. And just 1 full breath here. And then as and when you're ready, make your way over towards the left side. Hands coming out. Again, you can modify where the hands are. Pressing down, find length through that right side this time. And 1 full breath here. And then making your way back to the center. Moment of pause and notice. You can let your elbows sink down. Can you notice any difference of sensation in the sides of your body? And then our next movement is coming from child's pose into tabletop. So lifting up towards your tabletop first to kind of set it up. You might even like a moment to just move out through tabletop and take it through your cat-cow just to bring that fluidity out of the spine, especially when we were sitting for that period of time to start with. Get that movement happening. But as we're doing this, you're looking for a sense of fluidity, so you don't lose that connection. The fluidity coming from a rhythm of your breath and flowing with your movement. Now, I like to bring the hands just a little more forward for this movement. And as I come back towards child's pose, I want to bend the arms, elbows to the floor. And then rising up with your breath forward. Can be nice to drop the belly and kind of take this towards more of a cow shape. Keep leading through the back of the neck. And then like I'm coming through cat, rounding down and just let the elbows sink down. And then starting to find this movement for you. Again, you might move a little slower than me or a little faster. More so looking for the coherence and the rhythm with your breath. Take 3 more cycles like this. And notice as you're moving, can you keep a feeling of toning in through the lower belly? So even as we're taking this much kind of slow practice, we still want the awareness to come through the center line of the body. So we're always moving from that place of balance, center, and kind of power in essence. And you're welcome here just to pause in your child's pose for a moment. Otherwise, you can take it straight into our next movement, which will be the same thing, but we're going to add in downward facing dog. If you prefer not to add in downward facing dog, feel free to just stay with the first two. Otherwise, I lift up, and I want to keep a nice soft bend in the knees here. And then ripple forward, so I'm easing into the back chain of the body, coming down, and sink the hips. And rather than pausing in any one place, see if you can keep this as continual movement, flowing through these three positions with your breath, and forward and back and down. And then taking what feels like 3 more rounds like this. You take it in a different order, or there's any other little movements that come naturally to you when you're doing this. Let your body take you there. We're going to explore what's in your practice as well, also with your breath. So you're not going to a place of force where you lose the connection with your breath. The driving force, especially in this practice, is led by breath. And once you have completed what feels like your third round and you're taking your time, you might like to pause in a child's pose. You might prefer to pause in a tabletop and take a few more rounds of that cat-cow or a little twist side to side. And I do recommend, from the point of training the internal awareness, is always to take a moment of stillness and pause for a round of breath to really notice any of the subtle kind of changes or sensations in your body. When we do really gross movement and things, it's easy to feel the burn in the body, but something is happening no matter what movement we're doing. So when we're tuning it down, can you notice the subtleties of where it's starting from, where it's initiating from in the body? One more breath where you are. Beautiful. One more here from our tabletop. So we're going to add our sun breath this time. So similar thing, as I come back down, I'm going to sink towards child's pose. And then as I reach up, I want my right arm and my left leg to extend. Now, if it's too much using both, you could just maybe lift your leg or your arm instead of both. And then coming back down, sink to the floor. Lifting up, and as you reach, drawing from your center, left arm, right leg. Lowering it back down, and sink to the floor. Inhale, right arm, left leg. And lower. And then trying to keep your focus and attention on what you're doing, so you keep moving from side to side. And do notice if you find it confusing or frustrating, or you keep forgetting which side you've gone to. So this is just your body trying to bring the right and left hemisphere of your brain into a little more coherence. For a lot of us, we're kind of dominant to one side. We want to have this fluidity, this sense of self-awareness, where we're much more fluid between each side of the brain. It leads to much more ease in life and not as much irritation and frustration. Finishing off one more cycle. And then coming back, your option. You might pause in child's pose as you're ready. You can consider that. You might prefer to pause just sitting up on your heels. You might even like to pause in a moment of toe squat. Maybe. Yeah. And then noticing once again your breath, the sensations. And then if you had your blanket underneath, you might like to move that out to one side now, just so you're on your mat. And then it's come into a downward facing dog.
As you come up to your downward facing dog, you can bring the soft bend into your knees. You might like to just pedal out through the feet. And if you've been holding down dog just too much this morning, then just moving from that child's pose to down dog. Stay for about 3 breaths. You're noticing the back chain of your body, how you're pressing down through your hands. Notice the quality of your breath here. And then rising up onto your toes, start to make your way towards the top of your mat. Doesn't actually have to be the top, it can be anywhere on your mat really. And in this forward fold, nice deep into the knees. It can be nice for the first one to just bring your elbows to the knees and let the head be heavy. Especially if you have tightness through the hips, the lower back and into the legs. Or if it feels good, again, that bend is really nice. It's very soothing on the nervous system to have the bend in the knees and to have the feet a little more hip distance apart. If you're thinking about how you can bring more of that calming, soothing effect through your body and system. And know that at a time like this will go a long way. Just letting yourself have these moments of calm. Beautiful. And then gently pressing down through your feet. Keep a level of engagement. You might even let your hands come up your legs with you so you keep that contact. Again, remember, bonus touch when we're missing out on so much of it. Coming all the way up, you might like to reach the arms, lift. And then draw your hands down through heart center. And let your hands come down beside you. Feet again, hip distance apart. And then just a little bounce through your knees. So kind of soften the knees, soften the legs. As you do this, notice if you're holding a lot of tension in your shoulders. Maybe a little bounce here. Just allow the body to become kind of soft, but really grounding down through your feet. Another thing is finding ways of grounding and really feeling yourself in your body. Maybe you stay with that bounce or just pause and find a moment of stillness. Again, either your eyes closed down or just your gaze softening to the floor. So you're giving yourself the opportunity to tune inwards, settling on your breath. And you observe the quality of your breath, any of the sensations in your body. Taking one more round here. Beautiful. And then opening the eyes again. We'll take that, like we did sit at our moving mountain, but now standing. So with your breath, inhale, arms reach up. Turn the palms, and your exhale, they come down. Or again, finding your breath rhythm. Now the option is to add the toes as well. So as I lift the arms, I'm going to reach up onto my toes. And then lowering down. And keep moving with your breath. So rising up. And down. You can just find that smooth rhythm with your breath, with your movement. And then again here, we're going to do the same thing we did as we were seated and take one arm all the way up and one arm halfway. Now decide which arm's coming up first. Pause the other one on halfway and lower down. Again, you're welcome to stay coming up onto your toe, but just take it with your heels down. If you're as lucky as me and you have very clicky ankles, you get to hear that every time. And, keeping your full focus and attention on which arm is coming all the way up, which arm is going halfway. And then taking one more to each side. And it feels like a sense of completion here. And then just as you feel
Seated in that movement, come back to our standing mountain here. Palms forward again, you might have soft knees. And closing down your eyes or softening the gaze, take a full round of breath and notice. Do you notice any differences between the left and right side of your body? Can you feel any of the subtle physical sensations? Or opening your eyes once again. Okay, so this next movement, choose a leg that you're going to start with, you're going to be standing on. And then we're going to take the opposite foot just slightly out to the side. Okay, so the movement, I'm going to open out my arms as my leg comes to the side. So I might keep my big toe down or float that foot off the floor and bring a soft bend into my standing leg. Then with the breath, I cross that leg in front and I cross my arms in front. Inhale, open. Again, you can change the breath rhythm. And then exhale, this time I take my foot behind, I take my arms behind to cross over each other. Reach up and cross. And to add a little more, see if you can remember which hand crosses over each time, and then maybe change that. I always find it a little bit more challenging. Over and out, find your balance. You can always keep the foot down the whole time if you're feeling a little off balance this morning, that's fine. Up to the side and back. Let's take one more in each direction. And this time as you come out to the side, reach your arms. I'm going to pause here, either keep the big toe down or see if you can float that leg up and hold. Maybe you point or flex your foot. Nice, full breath. And then gently release. Release your hands. Again, this moment of pause. You can close down the eyes and soften your gaze. But now really bring your attention to noticing the differences between the right and left side of your body. So the difference between the side you were just standing on and the other one. Can you feel any differences there? Take a full deep breath. And then open your eyes once again, and we'll take it to the other side. So grounding down through that opposite foot and bring your other leg out to the side. Option just to keep the toe down. You can even kind of sweep the foot across like this and not lift it up at all, which I really should have said on the other side. And then arms reach up. And again, add as much of a bend in that standing leg as you need. Lift or sweep it across. Come to the front, cross the arms. Open out and cross it back. Now open up. And then again, just finding your rhythm with breath. So let yourself go inward in your practice. And you might be moving a little faster than me or a little slower. Just taking it at your own time. And then one more round. Look at that feels like for you, so you're somewhat even on this side. And then bringing it out to the side. Arms can come out, big toe might stay on the floor, or just lift that leg and then hold. 2, and then release the foot down. And once again, just bring your arms. A moment of pause, you can close the eyes or soften the gaze. And you're like, it's like you're looking for the differences and the similarities between the right and left side of your body. But bring your whole full attention to focusing on the differences in your body. You stay physically connected to what's going on and present right here on what you're doing. Beautiful, and let that go. You might give your legs a little bit of a shake, your arms a shake. And if you're not at the top of your mat, just make your way there, somewhere in between. So you can keep your right foot forward and then step your left foot back. Now it's like we're coming into a warrior one, really dependent. It doesn't have to be as long as your stance normally is. Modify as you'd like to. You might like to take that right foot out a little more. So starting with the straight leg, and again, just on the breath as we move. So with my inhale, I'm going to bend that front knee, reach the arms up. Exhale, drawing it back. Inhale. And exhale. Reach it up, finding that rhythm again, might be a little faster or slower than me. Working with the natural rhythm of your breath. Two more like this. And then we'll meet in our warrior one and hold. So next time you come into that bent knee position, you can reach the arms or just bring the hands beside you if you prefer. And we hold here. Beautiful. And then release and your hands come down. Okay, so we're going to add a little bit of a cross crawl action from here. So the right foot stays down, my right arm stays down, left arm reaches up. Now I'll show up first and then you can start to find your rhythm. But I'm going to step forward onto my right foot. As my left knee comes up, I switch my arms, so my right arm reaches up. And then step back. This is a little bit easier to watch and then just try and mimic it rather than actually thinking about what's happening. But it's a crossover of opposite arm, opposite leg. And come back to that straight leg position. So have a go. If you're going to find it, again, frustrating or confusing, it's just those both hemispheres starting to communicate. So slowing everything down and just give yourself time to observe and watch and start to work it out. Even though these things can look relatively simple, when we slow down and go into those deeper layers, they can suddenly become slightly challenging. Finding your pace, can you move with your breath as well? Let's take two more like this. And then the next time you come forward, we're going to see if you can hold in that standing position on one leg. Reach up, of course bring the foot down if you need. You might even like to reach your opposite arm up as well. Just take a nice full breath here. Beautiful, and then let that come down. Same thing, pause in your standing Tadasana, your mountain pose. Either close down the eyes or soften your gaze. Bring your attention to either side of the body. So can you notice the difference between the right and left side? I'd be very, very subtle. Have you noticed it in your heart rate? Have you noticed it in your breath? Beautiful. Let's take this to the other side. So left foot forward, step your right foot back, sitting up for your variation of warrior one. Same thing again. So I start with my front leg straight. Make sure there is a feeling of your hips and your chest squaring forward. You kind of adjust where your feet are. With the breath, reach the arms, sink into that front knee. And drawing it back. Inhale. And exhale. And that even though I'm giving the suggested cues for your breath, so much more important to find the rhythm for your breath. There is really no right or wrong, but if you're forcing your breath, it's just going to create a little more tension in your body, which ideally is what we are kind of trying to unwind. So again, it's not that it's wrong, it's just maybe not what your intention is or trying to achieve. Do 2 more cycles like this. And your next time forward, can you pause for a moment in your warrior one? So keeping that bend. Notice how you're pressing down through your feet. You might feel a sense of squeezing in and bring that activation into your shape. Lengthening through the arms and the side body. And find those moments of integrity in your pose here. I'll let the hands come down. So we'll add that cross crawl action this time. So my left hand will stay down, right arm reaches up. Then I'm just stepping forward and switching the arms as I do that. So lift up and cross. And again, just as the other side. But if you can't kind of balance there, just keep your toe down, right? And step back. Switch, change. Take your time, move at a pace that works for you. Sometimes it's just one of those days we're working so much slower. It just feels really comforting and grounding for the body. Coming into that if that's what feels right. Take 2 more like this. And then your next time coming forward, we'll hold at the top. Maybe you'd like to reach both arms up. Beautiful. Let everything come down. Little moment, even shake out those legs. And then find that moment of pause, that full breath. Arms facing forward, soft knees. Find the stance where you feel very grounded into your body, settle into your feet. You're noticing again the difference between the left and right side. Lovely. Release. Maybe that little shake out. We're going to come down, back down onto the floor. And again, if you use your blanket to support the knees, I recommend it, but it is not essential. Making your way back to the floor, and this time, maybe space out in the front. Oops. And come into our high kneeling position for this lightning pose. Okay, so reaching up with the arms. And I'll show it first. As I come down, I'm going to take one arm, so my right arm comes beside me or behind me, sorry, to the lower back. As I sink down, and I really want to draw into the lower belly, so I'm coming down with that control. And then as my left hand comes to the floor, I turn my gaze to the side with my arms back. Inhale, draw into the lower belly as you reach and lengthen. And then take it over to the other side. Hand comes back, turn the gaze in the opposite direction. And just starting again, this action, moving with your breath. And you still keep that nice rhythm with your breath. Sense of internal gaze and awareness. And just gently switch from side to side. And again, we'll take 2 more full rounds to each side. And this when it feels like you've completed and you feel even from side to side. We'll make our way either into child's pose or just to sit back onto the heels. We will actually be coming onto the back after these rounds. So if you prefer to come straight onto your back, go for it. Otherwise, just take a moment to give yourself pause. Settle, let yourself notice how you feel. And then when you are ready, coming over onto the back. Now, we'll be working with a series of undulating bridges, and at the end we'll be finishing with supported bridge. So if you'd like to have something next to you that you use for a supported bridge or waterfall pose, I'm going to use the blanket that's folded over like this, just to give the hips a little bit of lift. You could use the block or just any kind of cushion or anything you've got really. And the other option that I will give will be to side pose to a wall and set your legs up to the wall. So before we get there, going on down to the back. Keep a bend in your knees so your feet are down, arms beside you. And then just noticing, or taking a moment to notice which parts of your back are connected to the floor. You might feel like the hips and the glutes, the shoulders. You're kind of deciphering the difference between the parts of your body that are connected to the floor and the parts of the body that are not. So again, that ability to just notice these simple things that we can so easily take for granted. How am I actually grounded to the floor right now? And then as you've done that and you're ready, we'll initiate this movement from the pelvis. So these little pelvic tilts, listen down to the feet. You just start to tip the pelvis forward so you feel more of an arch into the lower back, lifting up, and then tilt it the other way. And then you press the lower back to the floor. And knowing that this might be enough of a spinal extension this morning. I find that this has such a soothing effect on the system, it's the gentle rocking through the pelvis. So if you prefer, just stay with this action. Otherwise, taking it more towards undulating bridges. And again, it's not about how high you lift the hips. It's more so just kind of finding where you can comfortably lift and keep that level of integrity, but also keep the rhythm and coherence of your breath. So it may be the inhale as you lift, exhale as you lower. You might find it in the other direction. Or that your breath just stays smooth as you move and it's not kind of breath form movement. It doesn't have to be like that. Lifting and lowering. Once you've got that action, you're welcome to stay with this, or we're going to add the arms in as well. So starting with the right side, as you lift your hips or just tilt the pelvis, reaching the right arm up, I might stop right at the tip of the ceiling or take it all the way over if that my shoulder kind of allows for that action. And then gently coming back down. Now staying on the right side, it's about 5 times going to do this with the right arm. You might lose count, it's fine. More important just to keep that sense of rhythm with breath and movement. And this feeling of a light squeeze through the inner thighs, so your knees aren't kind of flailing out to the side, but there's an activation. It's the same thing, the activation through lower belly. So you're toning into the center line of the body. And when you feel ready, when you've finished your 5 rounds on your right side, again, tend to move at a really different pace with this one. So just kind of finishing your right when you feel ready, and then we'll come into the left side. And in between, you might like a moment of pause, begin to notice sensations on the left and right side. And can you feel the difference between that right side and left side when you've been moving your right arm only? And as you're ready, taking it to the left, so left arm reaches as your hips lift, and lowering it down. And just enjoying that movement. Again, your hips don't have to come as high, your arm doesn't have to come all the way over.
And same thing, once you've finished your, feels like your fifth round, or just when you feel a sense of completion to this side, you can take that moment of pause in between, just a round of breath. It's not a huge amount of time. Then we finish this off with bringing some more symmetry. So we're going to take both arms. Again, if you've done enough undulating bridges and you don't want to lift your hips anymore, just come back to that little tilt of your pelvis and just use the arms. As soon as you notice that you're forcing into something, think, how can I modify to ease back and listen to my body? Feel this relationship where we're lovingly listening to our own bodies. Sort of find this relationship again, especially as we've got this opportunity in our world right now to slow down, to tune in, to come back home, and to lead with a little more kindness from within. Again, once you've finished what feels like your 5 of these undulating bridges, come all the way down, pausing for a moment. You might let your knees just knock in towards each other. Take that breath of stillness and quiet. And then you may just take a little movement with your knees. Move from side to side here. Moving it side to side. And before we do take it into more of a supported bridge or waterfall variation, take our spinal twist from here. So coming through center, you might like to just take both knees and actually just take them to one side and hold there. Or bring both knees in towards the chest and draw them over towards one side. Otherwise, if you're coming with me, we'll take the right knee in towards the chest, the left knee can extend long. And then with your left hand, just drawing that right knee over towards the left side. Maybe you turn your gaze over your right shoulder, you might close down your eyes. Think about breathing or feeling the breath into the back of your ribs. Giving a little more of that space. And then coming back through center. Changing sides, let's draw the left knee in towards the chest, the right leg long. Little movement, taking it how you do on the other side, and finding your supine spinal twist. Maybe you turn your gaze once again. Just be mindful of the neck when you do turn the gaze here, and then pause, breathing into the back body in your twist. And then slowly coming back through center. You might take a moment just to bring both knees in towards the chest, rolling out through the feet, the knees, gentle little rock side to side. And then as we take this into either supported bridge or waterfall, very much depending on what you've got with you at home, you also might like to take yourself over to a wall, kind of got to swing your hips in and bring your legs up the wall. That's the same thing, very effective. Although that can also be nice with just a little bit of a blanket or a cushion under your hips as well, so how you go. Otherwise, I've just folded the blanket here. You could use a block if you've got one. And then maybe the feet stay down for more of a grounded bridge pose. Or we're going to extend the legs up towards the ceiling for our waterfall, just letting everything drain back down to the center. And the option as well to bring your arms up. And this is so soothing and calming for our nervous system and body, just letting everything calm right down. So as you find that shape, settle into your breath, you might even like to give a soft gaze and just find a little bit of movement with your feet. It's really a nice way to keep a single pointed focus, which is a lot of the attention in yoga. You can even trace little figure of eights with your feet. I find it quite fun, up to you. But it's the simplicity, when there's all this uncertainty and chaos, it can really take us out of our bodies, out of the kind of more simple things. And so a moment of just lying on your back, looking at your feet. It can seem a little strange, but it's actually a really effective way to bring you back to that place of, well, sanity. Seeing how you go with it, but you might prefer to have the eyes closed down. Then taking about, say, 5 to 10 breaths just where you are. And then if you feel ready to come off a few props, of course, by all means. Otherwise, just another 3 or so breaths here, letting everything soften. And as when you're ready, we'll bring the arms gently down first, followed by your legs, your feet. And taking your time, you might just pause here for a moment. And then when you're ready, lifting your hips, sliding the props out of the way. Taking any final little last movements you would like before Shavasana. You might be adding on some extra clothing, getting any props you'd like to support yourself. And then as you do find Shavasana, you might recline out and lay on your back. Like so, you might like to prop up the knees. You might actually prefer to lie on your side or on your belly, or just sitting up. Kind of close the practice. But I do highly recommend finding a position of stillness to allow everything to settle and assimilate from our practice this morning. Again, these opportunities to find calm and quiet are just so important. And as you find that position, letting go of any of the conscious control of your breath. And really feeling your body resting into the floor in whichever way it is. And with your natural exhalation, releasing the weight of your body as much as you can into the floor beneath you. Allowing a sense of softness to come over the face, the jawline. This simple intention, letting yourself be heavy, grounded, and soft. Shavasana. And then gently, just bringing the awareness back to your breath. If you've got more time this morning and you prefer to stay in Shavasana, you might like to just stay here. Or kind of close the practice, still lying on your back or wherever you are. Otherwise, wriggling into your fingers and your toes. And just gently taking your time to stretch out through the arms and the legs. And only as and when you're ready, you might make your way up to a seat or however you'd like to seal up the practice. And if you're with me, you might like to bring your hands out of the heart center, just resting them on the heart.
And take a moment to acknowledge yourself for turning up and practicing. And you're welcome to either say it out loud or just in your head mentally. Sort of positive information before we close. So may I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. And may I find ease of heart. May all beings be safe. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be happy. And may all beings find ease of heart. Closing with a full breath together in through the nose. And sighing out the mouth. Thank you to all of you who have been here and shared this practice with me, or if you've watched it later. Beautiful day, and namaste.